Good evening, everyone. How we doing? I really wanted to drop this video like at this juncture, but I actually wanted to do it maybe a night or two ago. To be honest with you, but hey ho, here we are. It's Friday night. Let's just get stuck into it, okay? The topic of the video, as you'll have seen now by the name, is should you buy Paulo Dybala? Okay. Now, Dybala is a player who I am a huge fan of. Okay, ever since Juventus signed him from, was it Palermo? um, he came with a big reputation. Even at Palermo, though, his goal scoring record from memory wasn't that great, but he was one of these players that was scoring. If he was scoring, it was a belter, and there was a lot of potential seen in him. And at Juventus, he's really run from strength to strength. Last season wasn't too hot for him for a couple of reasons. Ronaldo's first season in and trying to adjust, and Allegri trying to get the shape right and all that type of stuff, okay? But obviously the reason he's a topic now is because of the potential Man United transfer, okay? And I do use that word potential, okay? Now, I think it's important because like, as much as the guy's a lovely player, and I say that word deliberately, he is was it against Real Madrid? He scored a couple of belter goals in the Champions League or something. I can't remember what game it was, but it was one game where in the Champions League, not season gone, but the one before, where he really shredded a few teams and he did so well. And the stats kind of reflect that. If you look over, that's last season, just gone. The season before that, 26 starts, 22 goals, 5 assists. His record was mental good. He was one of the best players in the world. He was linked with City, Barca, everyone going, and he stayed. And he didn't have the greatest year last year. His minutes, are they down? 2137. Yeah, they're down by a margin. Maybe 2 or 3 matches worth, not much overall. But the stats also reflected he didn't do as well last season. Now, whenever you're going to be buying any player, this is one thing I say as often as I can possibly get the words to fall out my mouth, is you need to be prepared for the worst case scenario in all of this, okay? Now, with Dybala especially, the worst case scenario at his current price is he does not go to Man United. If he does not go to Man United, he is not a £4 player on the index as it sits now. As much as that pains me to say, just where the market's sitting right now, in terms of the market cap, how much value is in other players at a similar or cheaper price range for what they will return and what could return in the future. He's not quite a £4 player as it sits right now. Now, don't get me wrong, the price he was at pre-jump, that 260, 270 mark, he's worth more than that certainly as well. There's a middle ground there to be had in the mid £3. But that's something you have to be 100% aware of. Now, the reason I wanted to do the video is when I heard, and it might not be big news to many people, or you might not think it's an interesting detail, right? But I heard yesterday, the day before, that the Lukaku and the Dybala transfer are now being handled as separate entities, okay? So they negotiate the terms for each of them individual, and the result of one does not impact the result of the other, okay? Now, that tells you a lot, okay? It tells you, number one, that the players are on varying levels of interest, okay? So one is probably more interested than the other, and one maybe has higher wage demand. There's other things going on there. It's been very difficult in the boardroom for Juve to say, we value Lukaku at that, and we value Dybala at that, so the transfer should be worth X amount. And Man United will be sitting on that end of the table with their own valuations that will probably contradict the Juventus valuations, and that's probably why they've decided, listen, let's make this easy. Let's make this 2 separate transfers and organising them independently, okay? Which is fine, okay? But what that does tell you is there's a possibility one goes through without the other, okay? I retweeted one of the tweets I seen from a Italian journalist saying they're also discussing Mandzukic, and Mandzukic also today has had a rise, I believe. I seen him, yep, he's popped right up, and it's because of Man United's links. Yep. Okay, so it just casts further doubt on Dybala's actual interest. Okay, now some of you might be sitting there and you'll say something like, "Oh, but he's not going back to pre-season until the 5th of August. He's meant to be back now, but he wants to sort out terms and all this stuff as well." Okay, what he wants to do is, Dybala's at Juventus. They're in the Champions League. They're on track to win 9 Serie A titles in a row. He wears number 10 for Juventus. Okay, if you don't know what that means, that is Del Piero's shirt. And if you're the same age as me, Dybala is born 6 years behind me, so he'll still value that as well, no doubt, how valuable that number 10 is. I'm pretty sure Zidane had it before Del Piero as well. Platini's had it. It's an iconic, it's one of those shirts in football. It's number 7 for Man United, number 7 I'd say for Celtic, number 7 for Liverpool, number 9 for Newcastle, number 10 for Juventus. Is one of those shirts that means a lot in football, you know, and if you are a player, that's something you're not going to hold in disregard. So he wants to talk about the transfer. What he also wants to do is talk to Sarri. Okay, now one thing you need to know about Sarri, if you weren't aware of that already, is he is a very what's the word? He's very system orientated. He plays one style of football. He's not very adaptive, and that's not a negative against him. I know from coaching myself, you know, and obviously we're all football fans, so you'll understand to a certain extent, okay? But some managers are a tad more flexible. They'll adapt for situations. There might be an overall theme, but what the team actually does will fluctuate. Unai Emery's a good example of this. You've seen a few formations come out of there. Conte is a good example of that. You've seen a few formations under him at Chelsea. Try to think who else springs to mind. Guardiola's quite flexible. We've seen teams for him play 4-1-4-1. We've seen 4-3-3. We've seen a few different things at varying teams. But you understand the point. With Sarri, what you're going to get is 4-3-3, okay? And those three forwards need to be good on the ball, need to be clinical, and they need to have pace on the shoulder, okay? The midfield, no point talking about that because we're not talking about midfield, okay? But that front three, they need to have... And the best way to think about it, what was the front three at Napoli? It was Insigne, it was Mertens, and it was Callahan. And then before that, it was Mertens, Insigne, and Higuain. Right? At Chelsea, the front three was Willian, Hazard, and then a fluctuation between Morata, Giroud, Higuain, even Hazard at number 9, and Pedro out wide, you know, and then Hudson-Odoi towards the end. You know, but you get the general theme. They're all goal scoring, wide players, strikers. They're strong. You know, there's a dynamic there that he always tries to get his team to play with. So at Juventus, who do they have? Okay, in their squad right now, this is the way Dybala will be looking at it. You know, is how's this new manager going to be playing? Where can I see myself playing in that team? And what can we possibly win? At Juventus right now, in terms of the forward line, let's get to it, sorry, is Higuain, Ronaldo, Mandzukic, Dybala, and that is it. Moise Keane's obviously been sold. Douglas Costa, Cuadrado, you could probably throw into that as well, okay? So he's definitely going to see himself as having the ability to get a better season this year than he did last year under Allegri. And playing alongside Ronaldo, having De Ligt in the team, Buffon's back. There's a lot of great signings at Juventus. There's a lot in the midfield. Ramsey, you know, the midfield's so good. Rabiot coming in. Bentancur's an up-and-comer. It's a very strong team that's going to be winning things one way or another. Whether it is just the league or the cup or whatever, they will certainly try and make a go at the Champions League. That is the ultimate goal. We all want Buffon to do it. I think every football fan wouldn't mind seeing Buffon win the Champions League this year. He's back at Juventus. And I feel bad for him because he left for PSG, and then right after that they signed Ronaldo, Mr. Champions League. You know, I felt really bad for him. I thought, Jesus, I bet he regrets doing that. And fair enough, he's won a French league now to his name, and he's went back to Juventus. And hey ho, who cares? But there's a lot of good things pointing towards Juventus and a lot of different key elements. Okay, so that's what the player's going to be wanting. Footballing wise, I don't think the only argument for Man United here is the fact that they could win the Europa League and they're in the Premier League, and there's a potential for him to be the star man that gets him back on the map. Okay, what's also going to go in their favour is the money that they're putting on the table. For the money they'll be paying this guy, it'll be sick. He'll be getting De Gea money, he'll be getting Sanchez money, he will be getting mental wages if he goes to Man United, and that is really, in my opinion, the only way they're going to get him across the line is by giving him crazy money, like China money, you know, because it's just the way football is. Champions League is what it means to every player. Anyone who doesn't play for a Champions League team who is seen as a top player, they always say, I want to be playing Champions League football. It's what everyone says. So for him to leave that for one season, definitely, but let's face facts, you know what I mean? Chelsea under Sarri, who everyone hated, finished top 4. Tottenham not signing a player, finished top 4 and got the Champions League final. And in Liverpool and Man City are a cut above everyone. So there's no guarantee they'll be in the Champions League next year. There really isn't, you know. So Dybala at £4.3. Let's talk about actual numbers, right? I'm going to get index gain on here. I use this so rarely, it's not true. I'm only ever on my phone. My laptop's pure crap, if you don't know. But his stats are decent, you know, don't get me wrong. So PB average 86, PB max 307. He can rip people to shreds. Almost a year since he last won PB. and he's got 4p of it there. So that's probably a double match day. I don't know actually. The pre and post split thing is going to mess with my head. I don't know, maybe even been a single match day. I can't even think right now what that would have been. And then he's won some media. The media stuff's probably more recent than anything else, just with the Man United links, of course. And but obviously we've had the announcement, and for this sort of player that Dybala is, the new matrix does make him more appealing in my opinion, because he is somebody who, forget last season, right? When he's on form and he's playing the way he wants to be playing, kind of wide right, cutting in on the left, wide left, and number 10's where I love to see him play. And granted, I didn't watch him a lot last year. I didn't watch a lot of football last season on the television. But when you look at when he's playing well, accurate passes 87, dribbles succeeded 72%. He's even getting good tackle stats. Predominantly left-footed, but scores with the right. Gets free kicks, gets penalties. You know, and when he's on form, that's the numbers you'd expect to get out of him. And with the scoring matrix the way it is now, 100% appeals in it. You know, which is why in the worst case scenario, if he stays at Juventus with the new scoring matrix, he will be a valuable player to have next year. In my opinion, there is no two ways about it, okay? Now, is he a £4 player at a market cap where we're at of 109? I don't think he's quite there yet. Now, don't get me wrong, if he hits good form, then I'll be the first to eat my words, because I am a big fan of Dybala, okay? But the point I'm making is, if the Man United transfer doesn't go through, short term, you're going to get a decrease. You're going to get a backward movement on him. And there's no good examples today in the decrease market, but you've all seen it when transfers look like they're not going to happen. People dip down. Look at Nicolas Pepe, Gareth Bale. You know, the drop-offs can be incredible when they happen, you know, and you need to be prepared for that, you know. So it's one of those ones, if you think he's going to go to Man United, then at £4, I think you're doing pretty well, actually, because once he gets playing with a scoring matrix, and let's look at, I wasn't actually planning on doing this, I've not set it up, but let's look at Man United's opening fixtures. I think they're kind of average. I think there's a tough game or two, but I don't think that's really easy or really terrible from memory. But let's say best case scenario, signs for Man United, he'll be in the Europa League. He will be playing against weaker teams, probably likely to get further, and that's got great potential for dividends in it alone, never mind anything else. Chelsea, Wolves, Palace, Southampton, yeah, that's quite an attractive opening set of fixtures. So if he's coming into this team, certainly Palace at home, you'd fancy him to do well, especially with no Wan-Bissaka. Wolves away, I would say it's going to be a high scoring game. Whether they win it or not is irrelevant. I think if you're holding Dybala, as long as he plays well, gets a good spot in match of the day, scores a wonder goal. And same against Chelsea, if he made a debut at Old Trafford and ripped it and did great, then the sky really is the limit for somebody who is like the player I think they wanted when they bought Di Maria. You know, if he could come in, the big international superstar that comes into Man United, you know, the Tevez, the Ronaldo, the Berbatov, you know, the Van Nistelrooy, you know, the big international player that comes in and really makes the team. If he comes in and does that, then he's going to rival the top players in the index. There's no two ways about it. You know, these guys up at £5, Sterling, Sancho, I hate to say it, but Messi, Salah, you know, that's the price range he'll be fighting in among Stephen Hazard, which isn't a great claim, I know, at this point, but there's great growth in him for a lot of reasons, and as the market increases as well, that will play a factor. So in terms of best case and worst case scenario, should you buy Dybala? If you're prepared for him to go backwards 50 pence, if the move doesn't go through in the short term and you make your gains long term, then now's not a bad time to buy him for the gamble of the best case scenario, which is Man United signing him and him getting off to a good start to the season. You know, short term, then you could be looking to get up by 20% probably within a couple of match days, I believe. And as the season progresses on, Europa League football, winning dividends and scoring goals and all that type of thing, then at £4 it could be a real snip, okay? So that's really down to you. Do you think the Man United transfer is going through, given everything we've discussed? I do not think it's going to happen without them paying him something mental, like 350 grand a week, you know? So if Man United are prepared to pay that, they'll get him. But if they're not, then they won't, because I don't think he's jumping up and down. I seen a tweet earlier, the Lukaku transfer is all but done. He's on €9 million a year. So again, they've decided to not do it as a swap, you know, a conjuncture. You know, there's separate entities, separate deals. So that is something you need to think about. And the word is he's not going back to training until the 5th of August. So between now and then, you will have media potential to win dividends, and you will have a little bit more capital appreciation Even if you got up to the high of 406, it cleans half the commission away for you, and then any dividends you earn, become profitable quicker. Then it's one of those ones. But I think it'll be great this year. I think it'll be a very valuable hold, but it's one that you have to be, if you are buying now, you have to be prepared for a big backwards movement. And if the move does go through, then you'll be rubbing your hands and you'll go, fucking yes. Because he will fly. There's no two ways about it. I believe in the guy a lot. I don't believe in Man United, but I do believe in Dybala. I want to hear your thoughts, guys. If you're still here, you're still listening to me babble on, thanks very much for watching. If you are new around here, like, share, subscribe. Leave the comments below. Dybala, is the transfer going through? Do you think he's going to have a good year? Will he play well under Sarri? Will he play well under Solskjaer? Let me know, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.